Self-study, how crazy said.
love give thanks. We shall begin shortly. Blessed evening to everyone that is present with us. Give thanks for your presence and we glorify the life giver and the keeper of life. We officially welcome you to the first evening of the two-evening session course, two classes, one course, directly highlighting the rudiments, which really means the basics of astronomy, ancient astrotheology, specifically the rudiments of astrotheology. Of course, I will be your facilitator, Honorable Priest Isaac. It is an honor and a joy that we could definitely be together on this. Of course, a few more individuals are really scheduled to come in, but this is a recorded session and everyone will get a copy of the recording. So those who will come in late, they will be able to catch up. But of course, in due respect and in interest of time and all of those who are already here, we will go straight ahead into the presentation and of course the discussion and the class itself. Now, what I would ask, I know that there may be parts that may come through a bit tough, and if possible, that we can just make our notes for the time of the asking of the question. We would be quite thankful for that. And of course, honestly, I am sure that most questions will be answered as we continue to flow. So again, the subject area is astrotheology. We are presenting it in a class-like fashion to the point that anyone who understands this language should be able to follow what we are saying, even a little child, even an ancient grandfather, grandmother who have never heard of any of these big words, but should be able to follow what we are presenting this evening. Before we go into it, as I said, this is not a crash course in astrotheology, so it's not going to be trying to ram together a lot of things and dynamics within 2 simple nights. It's the rudiments of astrotheology. So we're going to be highlighting and focusing on the sun for day 1. That's this evening, and tomorrow evening we will be delving more into the zodiac. Now again, if we're going to do this subject area justice, I'm going to be presumptuous to a degree to say I would believe at least those who would have registered for this class, and most who would see this in this near future, are those who have a basic understanding through our teachings, again, of what astrotheology is all about. So again, you would hear the term maybe knocked about, and you would hear individuals saying, man, religion comes from the stars. We're going to really go way beyond that this evening. So just keep that in mind. That's nowhere close to what we are going to be getting into. But basically, it's not to be dismissed. It is true. But exactly now, the depths of it. Again, I would like to say that astrotheology is theology. And theology itself is the study of God, the study of the Creator. Most sane, thinking people comprehend that there must be a prime mover, as His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I would refer to the divine as the prime mover, a creator that is good. That is how the King of Kings, refer to the Most High as the Almighty. So there is an Almighty, there is a God. So astrotheology really connects, again, theology with the astronomical heavens, or some may say astrology. I wouldn't argue with that at the moment. But again, theology itself comes from ancient astronomy. Ancient astronomy by itself is a subject area. And out of ancient astronomy, really, which is really astronomy, you know. But because modern astronomy is extremely toxic, it is astronomy as you know it today. It is extremely toxic because it lacks the heart chakra. So you have to specify what type of astronomy we're talking about. We're talking about the astronomy that the ancients would have used. Yeah, so out of ancient astronomy comes archaeoastronomy, which is astronomy in relation to the stones and the monuments, which is also directly linked to astrotheology, which again, theology is the study of the concept of a God and connecting that with the heavens and the movements of the heavenly clocks and the sun and the moon and the star and everything there above. But again, that came out of everything there above. So therein lies the concept now, as above, so below, because that really is what astrotheology is. The concept of as above, so below. So we have already come in our ancient self to this comprehension and this understanding that this roof above us, which is really no roof, I don't mean the roof or the ceiling in my house here, but when you go outside and you look above, you realize there's nothing really above you as such. There's no roof, there's no ceiling. That's why the term the sky is the limit is used, because there's no sky. That means it's limitless. I mean, the possibilities that you have it's unthinkable, boundless. So the heavens now creates this dynamic impression on us all, even if we don't know what we're looking at. The heavens, space, especially at night, and all these stars and the Milky Way, and wow, the full moon. It creates a dynamic impression on all who would observe it. So that means the message that it carries, you know, the depths of the message and the meaning thereof also, just like the impression you get, when you understand the message that it is giving, it is the very same impression that it would give you. That's the sort of energy that it is carrying. So again, as above, so below. There are many different angles to this family. That is why tonight we're really focusing in on the sun. But again, the concept of as above, so below is very important when we are observing astrotheology. So remember the 19th Psalm highlights that the heavens declare the glory. But also in the book of Revelation, chapter 12, and this is an example that I use from time to time. So any of the students and any of the Tiger's Nest crew and anyone that is close understands the relationship with the 12th chapter of Revelation, when John the Divine said that he looked up into the heavens and he saw a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head was the crown of 12 stars. And of course, we would have explained that that is in the heavens, the constellation of Virgo, who at a specific time is clothed with the sun. And at a specific time, once per month, does have the moon literally at her feet. And she being at that central point, at the equinox herself, at the what they call the fall equinox, she begins that cycle, and the 12 constellations in that 360 cycle known as the ecliptic belt represents the 12 stars on the crown that was on her head. But that's in the heavens, and I just gave you the academia of that. But that literally crystallize and manifest into historical activities. Even when it said she gave birth to the man-child that was to rule all nations, and the dragon that stood before the woman, all of that is in the heavens. But all of that also manifests on the earth. But even before it manifests on the earth, the ancient ones observed it in the heavens, even before John on the Isle of Patmos. And they took that from the heavens and they carved it into hieroglyphs on the walls of ancient Kush and Kemet. But interestingly, even before they carved it into hieroglyphs, they would have built monuments and structures like the Great Pyramids before they were carving anything. And the monument and structures like the Great Pyramids and the Pyramid Complex at Giza would have already mirrored, as above, so below, would have already mirrored what was taking place in the heavens. You see, all the structures that we would have built tens of thousands of years ago was to really celebrate and give homage to the movements of the heavens. So this is why you would see many complexes. It's not just the pyramid at Giza. It's all over the world where we would have set up monuments and stone structures to literally give praises to the movements of the heavens, to align with the solstices and the equinoxes. The Great Pyramid of Giza, the three pyramids are aligned with the belt of Orion, plus the whole makeup of the pyramid and the shaft that runs to the king's chamber and the queen's chamber still align with Orion and the Sirius star system and of course the polar center of the galaxy, which is at the pole, the celestial pole, the pole star. So again, as it relates to the structures that we built, it was to mirror the movements of the heavens. But before we were building anything, nature showed us this. The galaxy and the hurricane literally looks like brothers and sisters. And I mean, talk about microscopic and macro and micro here. Because the galaxy, we are on a galaxy, we are in a galaxy, pardon me. The planet that we are on is in a solar system, which is in a galaxy. If you're to look at this example of a galaxy, you cannot even nearly think to spot Earth anywhere there. But on planet Earth, there is a weather system that mirrors the galaxy that we are in. The hurricane mirrors the galaxy itself. And that can be found in many aspects of nature because nature is created by a mathematical code or a series of mathematical codes. And one of those codes for sure is what they call the Fibonacci series of numbers or the golden spiral. This is just nature, no religion here. And we're just warming up, We're just sort of kind of getting you prepared. Honestly, I don't think the class has started yet. So really the series of numbers known as the Fibonacci series of numbers, we prefer to refer to it as the golden spiral. And you can see the golden spiral again in the galaxy. You can see the golden spiral even in the way that the wind blows. You can see the golden spiral again in the cyclone, which is the hurricane, the tornado, etc. You see the golden spiral in the pine cones and the petals of specific flowers and certain cacti and the ram's horn, as well as the seashell. You see the natural golden spiral. In fact, the way that the pyramids were built begins the whole process of the golden spiral. And I am just sort of bringing that in the introduction of this course to the forefront so that we can, in a sense, prepare the mind for the rest of the course as such. And comprehend that this is almost just a simple aspect. As I was saying in the preparation for this course, I think most of us coming in here already have a good understanding of, the science of, again, the Bible being referred to as the holy book. And holy comes from, the word for son. And again, we all understand that the Christ figure, the Son, is somewhat connected to the Son, interestingly. However, they put it together, you see. But what happens here now, when people learn these things, especially on that level, they try to figure out, come to their own conclusion. So what's going on here? And they say, well, some critters were just watching the sun and decided to make up a whole story and just fool off another set of people and enslave them. And it's not necessarily that. No, it's not necessarily that at all. That is why I'm trying to show us how important it is to grasp the concept of how we dealt with nature. Even in our primitive state, we were of high intelligence, that we could create such monuments to align with the movements of the heavens and the astronomical clock. So what I'm going to do here now, my royal family, and again, remember, this is a class, this is an official course here. So we are going to take the time to make sure our points are well made. Now, we recently highlighted a brother by the name of Piazzi Nyathi, pardon me. He is from Zimbabwe, and he is an individual. And when I say we highlighted him in our recent edition of Kidemi. Kidemi is the magazine that has been created by the Priest Isaac's Institute of Holistic Knowledge. And he is an individual that you may have seen on certain documentaries highlighting the whole aspect of the cosmos and how it relates to African people. So just give me a moment just to say a word about him here. This is the article. You find it in our magazine, the magazine entitled Kidemi. This is our second edition. And again, this is Pathisa Niathi. The trust, this is him speaking, the thrust of this presentation is to identify the starting point when we seek to understand African culture and heritage, namely the cosmos or the heavens or the universe. So he's highlighted that when we are looking to understand the foundation of African culture and heritage, namely the cosmos or the heavens, that's the foundation thereof, or the universe. That's the foundation of our knowledge. That's the foundation of our culture. Very good. So I'm going to highlight here, this is an interview. I'm taking this from the internet in conversation with Trevor. And Trevor had him as a guest, and they are going to get into the subject area of the different African dances and how they relate to the cosmos. Now, I want you to hear what Brother Piazza Nayathi says about the whole aspect of the African dance and the cosmos. Listen to this.
You said you'll find more time to talk about the cosmos and the link to the dancing. Yeah. Can we get into that right now? You've described the dance that's about the rain, and what other dances do mirror the cosmos, do project the cosmos?
I don't think there is a single dance that does not mirror, if it is an African dance.
Now, before it continues, I want that part to come out clear. He don't think there's a single dance that doesn't mirror the cosmos if it's an African dance. Just let that sink in. So what Brother Pathisa, I'm pronouncing his name wrong. Athisa Nayathi, what he said, that all African dances, and there are a lot of African dances, and he is well studied, he's a professor. I mean, he's a scientist. He he practiced his craft. So he has a good understanding of how the African dances connect to the cosmos. And the rain dances, you would hear him give a whole explanation of how Africans would do the rain dance and literally create rain. So let's listen to his explanation here once more.
Dances do mirror the cosmos, do project the cosmos.
I don't think there is a single dance that does not mirror. If it is an African dance, there is not a single one of them. And I understand quite many.
Sure.
From the Shona world, Kalanga world, Ndebele world, all groups, ethnic groups, but not only confining myself to Zimbabwe, but indeed, what is African? I have said, we are not Africans because we live on the African continent. Nor are we Africans because we are black. No, it's all about a world view. It's about the way we relate to each other as human beings, one, how we relate to environment, and that environment is terrestrial, but it is also cosmic.
So he says that environment is terrestrial, but it is also cosmic. So as I was saying now, I brought in the good brother because, and he is a late brother, as they would say now. He would have passed on in 2024 on the 2nd day of November. So we give thanks for all the works that he would have done. So highlighting again that in Africa, you have different aspects of the dance, from the Shona to the Zulu, Yoruba, even the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. You know, Christian as it may be, you cannot compare the rhythmic movements of that expression to any other form of Christianity, not that I know of, you know. So he's expressing that all African traditional dances are connected to some movements of the heavens. So it's not just the Dogons alone, because the Dogons are the people in Mali who would have definitely done the dance every 60 years to align with the movements of Sirius, the constellation of Sirius, or the star system, pardon me, of Sirius. So what you're seeing here, again, is just a natural culture of us connecting to the cosmos. Look at all of these different quote-unquote tribes that Africa has. And all of these tribes have their own tribal dance. And you're saying that all of the dances are connected in one way or the other to the cosmos. Some of them are mimicking the Milky Way. Some of the dances are mimicking the movement of the planets. Again, some of them are connected directly to the Orion Nebulae. Some of them are directly connected to the Sirius star system, not just the Dogon alone, so is the bozos. So again, it shows the ancient connection on many different levels that we had to the cosmos, even in the way that we dance. Very good. So here begins the concept of astrotheology, you know, because theology is not religion. Theology is connection with God. Who is God? Medu Neter. That is why when we expressed it, we put it in Medu Neter, Mother Nature form. So all of these, the Patar and the Asar and all of these so-called gods that you see is just an expression of the Almighty. Of the Almighty. You don't even have to say Almighty what? Of the Almighty. All of these, the Neter, the Neteru, are expressions of the Almighty. That's it. But religion turns it into a different thing. And then again, theology is confused with religion, but this is theology here, the expression of the dance. because it's the expression of nature in human flesh, human beings mimicking the movements of Saturn and the conjunction of Jupiter with the moon and all of that stuff. But the wolf that came and invaded the lion's den didn't understand none of this. But let me continue and remember that we are definitely here to focus on astrotheology. Now, what I would like to do after now we would have gathered that foundation, I would like to present to you one of the aspects of our ancient astronomy course. And that would somewhat prepare us as we go into this realm. Now, some may have already partaken of this, but it's good to take it in again. And those who have never seen this, what you will be getting here is one of the many chapters that we have in our ancient astronomy course. The ancient astronomy course is an online course that goes into just that, ancient astronomy. And this is the chapter entitled The Sun. It's just about 6 minutes long. I want you to take it in. It's not a commercial break, as it will be somewhat preparing you again to the depths of understanding of the importance of the sun as we go into astrotheology and the rudiments of it. Give thanks again for your presence. Ancient astronomers always revered the sun. This was not sun worship, as some historians would want us to believe. Ancient astronomy, somewhat like astrology, pays attention to the apparent movement of the sun across the sky, but concentrates on the fact that the sun is relatively stationary in relation to the solar system, and it is the Earth's rotation and revolution that gives the sun its constant apparent path. The ancient people of Kemet referred to the Neter represented by the sun as Ra. Another version of the sun, Neter, is Aten. This was popularized by the 18th dynastic king, Amenhotep IV, also known as Akhenaten, around 1353 BCE. Here we see the Aten reaching down via its rays that ends in hands touching the royal family. Ancient Anu, also called Heliopolis, is known as the city of the sun, known as the city of the priests, and also renowned for its many now stolen obelisks or steles. In ancient Africa, the obelisk is referred to as a Teken. This ancient city was known for its spiritual connection to the solar orb. The sun is not the creator. It is also a product of the darkness of the universe, as us all. But as the center of the solar system, all objects revolve around it. It is the energy of the sun that sustains life as we know it in general. This is why in astrotheology, the sun has been used by the world's various religions to represent the Messiah. Our star, the sun, Ra, Aten, is approximately 93
million miles away from the Earth, and it is a big ball of plasma and gas. Most of the gas is hydrogen, around 92% of it. This is converted into energy in the sun's core. The energy moves outwards through the interior layers into the sun's atmosphere and is released into the solar system as heat and light. The temperature of the sun's core is approximately 27 million degrees Fahrenheit or 15 million degrees Celsius. Hydrogen atoms are compressed and fused together, creating helium. This process is called nuclear fusion. As the gases heat up, atoms break apart into charged particles, turning gas into plasma. The energy, mostly in the form of gamma ray, photons, and neutrinos, is carried into the radiative zone. Photons can bounce around at random in this zone from somewhere between a few thousand to about 1,000,000 years before traveling to the surface. The sun and its atmosphere consist of several zones or layers. The solar interior consists of the core, the radiative zone, and the convection zone. The convection zone is the outermost layer of the solar interior, extending from a depth of 200,000 kilometers to the visible surface. The solar atmosphere is made up of the photosphere, the visible surface of the sun. The chromosphere, this is an irregular layer above the photosphere where the temperature rises from 6,000 degrees Celsius to about 20,000 degrees Celsius. Then you have the transition region and the corona, the sun's atmosphere. Ancient astronomers were scientists in a holistic sense. They understood that it takes the blood approximately 8 minutes and 20 seconds to cycle around the human body, and it takes the light of the sun approximately 8 minutes and 20 seconds to reach to planet Earth. Ancient astronomy.
So we give thanks for that expression, and what that did now, it gave us again a clear understanding that we had a direct knowledge of the sun. And for maybe the skeptics, of course not you, ones may say, well, the ancients had a certain level of knowledge, but they couldn't have known all of that. Now, I am positive, as I would have said earlier on another program, that there's no way we could have built the Great Pyramid of Giza once you understand the Great Pyramid of Giza. Maybe an individual haven't gotten it yet, but that is technology to a point that we haven't even dreamed of reaching to yet in this modern day time. I'm talking about the Great Pyramid of Giza. And you would have had to know these intricate details, what science today haven't discovered as yet. We have already passed that. And you know, we can prove that now. Even things that your good brother have been speaking about, myself. for a long time, almost 2 decades. Some of you can testify to this. You know, things that I consider now, no offense, kindergarten. You see it coming out in reality. For example, we are now in a solar, maximum. And that's the conversation right now. Now, remember, Puerto Rico just got a blackout. 90-something% of the lights went out in Puerto Rico. And of course, I think they're trying to go around the possibility of it really being some sort of impact from even the solar flares of the sun, because the sun is hot right now as far as releasing its solar flares. And as I'm speaking to you, the sun is at its closest point right now to the earth, the perihelion. And during the time of solar maximum, the sun is known to lick out many electrical grids all over the earth. It's nothing strange. You know, it's just natural. So you know that we've been speaking about that solar maximum for a while, which is really what happens when you have the full cycle of the 11-year sunspot cycle. Now, the ancients, again, had a good comprehension of this. The ancients, again, fully understood this. And this has to do with the whole electromagnetic make-up of the sun. So the cycle of the sun, which is really a 28-day cycle when it comes to the equator, it's a deep thing. And the 37.5 days cycle as it relates to the poles of the sun. So follow me good now. So the sun itself has an equator electromagnetic field line. An equator electrical magnetic field line. Electromagnetic is really one word. And that field line is just that. It's like a field, a line of current. Because the sun, as we know it, is high electricity. It can tear you up. The sun will quicker electrocute someone before it burns them up. And then it has a field line running from the pole. That is the polar electromagnetic field line. You got that. Very good. So what's interesting here, obviously, you could see it represents like the equator and the prime meridian, you know, latitude and longitude. But unlike planet Earth, that is like a solid rock, the sun, which is really a star, almost like the gaseous planets, the equator has a different rotational speed or pace than that of the poles. So if you never got this, I would want you to get this now. And I'm trying to, again, reinforce not only the importance of the sun, I'm actually trying to reinforce that the ancients had a clear understanding of this long time ago. So the equator magnetic field line has a 26 or 28-day cycle. 26 days, 28 days when viewed from the Earth cycle. So this 28-day, 26 depending from the Earth or in actuality, because the polar magnetic field line, follow me good, the polar magnetic field line, that's the field line. Remember, field is current. field of electricity, and it's a line. And it runs from the north pole of the sun to the south pole of the sun. But hear this, the sun doesn't really have a north pole or a south pole. The sun has a positive pole and a negative pole. Good. So what happens? Every 87.5 days, what did I say? Every 87.5 days, the equator magnetic field line of the sun literally comes back around and meets the polar magnetic field line of the sun in the same way that every hour on the hour, the minute hand goes around and meets the hour hand, the little hand on the clock every hour. Well, every 87.5 days, the equator of the sun, which is an electromagnetic field of current that goes around the sun. I mean, it's just dynamic to even imagine that. I could imagine the width of that is beyond that of the whole circumference of the earth, but it's just a field of current going around what we would call the equator of the sun. But because it has a beginning point and it's going around faster than the poles of the sun has a field lined as well, running from north to south, which is positive to negative, but it's not moving as fast as the equator's field line. One is moving 28 once around the sun every 28 days, and one is moving once around the sun every 37 days. So they're both moving, but one faster than the other. So when the equator electromagnetic field line finally gets up with the polar electromagnetic field line, it happens every 87.5 days. And it keeps doing that, bam, bam, running into it every 87.5 days until the electromagnetic field lines, as you would see in this graph here, literally get entangled and encoiled with each other. Very important, eh? So you see the constant banging of the field lines, banging it every 87.5 days. You could just imagine the dynamics of this. Eh? This ain't no nuclear bomb business here. Eh? That Scooby-Doo compared to this. This is creation. This is the sun. Eh? The sun that brings life to everything. The sun that opens the petals of flowers in the morning. Yeah, the sun that gives the moon the light to reflect. The sun. And again, the ancients understood that. Even the people in the cave got that part. But this part here, this is a different level now. This is different. This is deep mathematics, understanding that every 26 to 28 days, depending on where you are at, the equator hits the poles and hits the poles until it becomes entangled, and the entanglement becomes so powerful that the energy of the entangled electromagnetic lines, field lines of power bursts from underneath the surface of the sun because of a result of this, causing now what is referred to as sunspots. Solar maximum is here. That's what's going on now as we speak. Follow me, eh? But we had a great understanding of this, and we can prove this thousands of years ago. And this is where the concept of the feathered snake comes in. When you see in the kingdom of the Olmec people or the Mayans, you see them with the snake, and the snake filled with feathers. In ancient Kemet, the snake and the bird always together, Heru, with the sun on his head and the snake, it's symbolic of the cycle of the sun, the 11-year sunspot cycle that I just explained. In its mathematical understanding, we understood that thousands of years ago, the pyramid of Lord Pakal, the mask of Tutankhamun, the 28 lines, the 26 lines, those are the cycle of the equator of the sun. Going to the temple of Lord Pakal, the 37 steps and the 28 steps going down. These are the cycle of the poles of the sun, the cycle of the equator of the sun. They understood the science a long time ago, without the so-called modern day technological equipment. So this is why when you observe this, some may be looking at this and thinking, oh yes, I see the feathered snake. This is not the feathered snake, but you're correct. This is how the 11-year sunspot cycle appears when seen on a computer graph. And this is why, again, the concept of the feathered snake would have come alive. The snake with wings, the snake even with what is known as the dip. This is a deep science here, that you see the curve inside of the 11-year sunspot cycle. So again, all over the world, when you see that concept of the snake with wings, even the dragon, the reptile with the wings, the snake with wings, the flying serpent, or the feathered snake, in whatever form, the root of it is the understanding of the cycle of the sun. Can you imagine that? And this is why now, please follow this. This is the real reason now you get that concept of the SUN and the SON, because the feathered snake is also seen to be the same sun, the cycle of the sun in flesh. So the Quetzalcoatl of the Mayan people is seen as the feathered snake, as a human being, and that is why he's seen as the Christ figure. The charis, as it's used in ancient Kemet. In Kemet, the Christ figure is the charis. So very important here. And even before we go to the Yucatan, let me carry you here first, and I hope everyone is blessed, and I hope everyone is following with this whole demonstration this evening. All right. What I would like to do is to, let me just read this for you. Now, Tutankhamun as well is one of the individuals that you see highlighting the feathered snake. As you can see, you see him here with the snake and the vulture on his mitre. And I know many of you would have heard me in the past highlight that, you know, he represents the cycle of the sun in flesh, because all of the other ancient kings would have carried the vulture, but he stands unique as carrying the vulture and the snake. I always highlight that there is one carving I would have seen with Tutmos III carrying the snake and vulture, but that's just one. I'm not saying that there's not more, but for sure, I know anyone that studies this, you know, aspect of history would agree that, well, Tutankhamun, the boy king as they call him, is quite unique. He stands out really as the individual with the snake and the feathers, the feathered snake, you know. So as much as they may want to downplay him because he died at 19 years old and they don't really understand what is taking place, well, at the same time, Tutankhamun again stands out. And if you understand his story properly, as God in flesh, as the physical manifestation of the sun. That is why he is imprinted as the feathered snake. And his time frame, we're talking about approximately about the 3,325 or so BCE, Tutankhamun. All right. I just want to read some information here as it relates to the whole aspect of the connection of Tutankhamun with the sun and Tutankhamun's mask with fertility, and also the connection with the bee, the honeybee, the queen bee, the drone bee. Now, this is an article here highlighting one of the works of Maurice Cotteriel. And Maurice Cotteriel, in fact, I'm going to cite from him again before we're done this evening. Maurice Cotteriel is an author that would have really highlighted the whole aspect of how the ancients dealt with the sun and Tutankhamun and the different solar gods, etc., etc. And again, as I said before, I'm sure many ones may not even would have expected that this course would be coming from this angle. You know, maybe we thought we were just going up in the stars and say, well, this star is that, that is that, and you know, but this is to show you how deep the understanding is of the whole concept of the sun and the dynamics of the sun. It says here, the long-lost secret, of Tutankhamun. In 1997, in the Tutankhamun Prophecies, that is the book that he wrote, I showed how Tutankhamun worshipped the sun. Well, we know it's not necessarily worshipped the sun, but let's just go through with understanding. And how the honeybees, or the honeybee, worships the sun. I'm going to read that over again. I showed how Tutankhamun worshipped the sun and how the honeybee worships the sun. And that was in his book, The Tutankhamun's Prophecy. I explained how our 28-day spinning sun regulates fertility in females, and how the back of Tutankhamun's golden mask takes the form of an erect human phallus, also associating Tutankhamun with fertility. And then he goes on to say, but one question has perplexed me for the past 23 years. Why does the mask feature the boy king as a queen bee, a female bee with a sting? It cannot be the sting of a male bee, the drone, because the drone carries no sting. And you would also see the bee sting here, which is symbolic, of course, of the queen bee. And you would understand, and here he has here highlighting from the rear 26 solar rays, from vertical to horizontal, representing the 26-day spin of the sun on the sun's surface. So officially, that is it. That's what it is. It's really 26 days on the sun's surface, but when viewed from Earth, it's 28 days, as he highlighted even up here, how our 28-day spinning sun regulates fertility in females, and how the back of Tutankhamun's golden mask takes the form of an erect human phallus, yet still it takes the form of the female bee, the sting of the female bee. So this is deep, eh? And again, Tutankhamun already carries this snake with the bird, the feathered snake. So Tutankhamun, you know, without without any deep scientific explanation, we can clearly see these people understood the cycle of the sun very well. And the masks, now they obviously understood the science of the bees very well. Now, how did the bees come into this? And we're dealing with astrotheology. Why? Because the bees, obviously, according to this information here, and let me say before I go too far, we're going to make sure that all who are participating with us in this course, I'm going to send you a copy of this information, either the copy or the direct link, so you'll be able to go through this properly for yourself and read over what I read for you and some other information here. But I'm going to get to this in a few moments here. But just understanding the connection, again, it is showing you how Tutankhamun himself directly connected again to the bees, and how the bees are directly connected to the sun. But again, the bees are seen in ancient religion, theology, as not only guardians of the people, but vessels for the angels. Now, this may sound like I did use the term religion, but this is science now. This is the point I'm trying to show you. This is science. It's not as if I've skipped maybe certain aspects and gone straight to religion. This is science, because I'm scientifically showing how the same solar maximum that we are experiencing even today is connected directly to, yes, Tutankhamun, but Tutankhamun and the same sun connected directly to the bees, the honeybees. So even in the Quran, there's a chapter directly dedicated to the honeybees. All right. Now, what I would like to do, I would like to highlight to you a short clip from a documentary that some of you may have seen. It's entitled "The Sacred Bees and Their Honey as a Means of Livelihood." And this is about a brother in Ethiopia who takes care of bees. He's a beekeeper, and he's going to Lalibela to sell his honey. Let's just follow this, and of course, I will explain to you what I'm gathering from all of this information. And give thanks to those who may be just coming in. Don't worry, you will be getting a copy of the full first part of this course. And again, this evening, we are just actually homing in on the sun more so. And as I said at the beginning, it may not be what you would have expected, but then once you know me, you would be ready for anything. So we're homing in on the sun, the value of the sun, and we have all intention to home in now on the zodiac belt tomorrow. All right, the rudiments of astrotheology.
The first of these steps is not much further than the end of the village. Hidden in the woods is the Kirkos Church.
So this is the Kirkos Church. And there's another church also known as Saint Georgis. Now, Saint Georgis, Bilal Georgis and Bilal Kirkos, both churches. And the Georgis is not Kidos Georgis, the rock church of St. George. I want you to follow me good. But both of these churches, these are both stone churches, just like the 11 churches of Lalibela. These churches are not necessarily the Lalibela churches. In fact, they were founded even before the time of Lalibela. These churches here, both rock churches, the one for St. Georgis and the one at Kirkos, where he's going into now, both churches were founded by bees. The bees would have led the founder there. And the bees, listen to this, the bees are still there over 1,000 years after, almost 2,000 years. These bees have been in both of these churches in Ethiopia. Now, obviously, it's not the same exact bees, but the hive hasn't moved. Now, for a hive not to move in 1,500 years, just not to move, that alone is a miracle. That, I mean, the hive just there, not going anywhere. 1,500 years. And both hives were the signature of the founding of both churches 1,500 years ago, near the town of Lalibela. And then at Lalibela now, about just 800 years or so ago, the great King Lalibela erected the church, Beta Emmanuel. All of this is highlighted in our magazine, Kidemi. Beta Emmanuel. And Beta Emmanuel is even younger than these churches here by several centuries. And at Beta Emmanuel also, you have a hive of bees that is not going anywhere. Let's follow this.
For 1,500 years, at the door of its
For 1,500 years.
is not much further than the end of the village. Hidden in the woods is the Kirkos Church. For 1,500 years, at the door of its rampart, the faithful come to ask for the priest's blessing or to bring offerings. The church is a cave. It was carved into the rock, like a giant sculpture. Nowadays, the keeper of the keys is Father Tebeje Zewudi. It's to him that Abby brings his wax offering.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, in the name of the one God and the Trinity, may this wax be blessed.
A man of the church, Father Tebeje is also a beekeeper.
How's your honey?
The harvest is near. It's the month of Tekemte, so it will be soon. Let's see if there's honey.
In the rock-turned church, arches, frescoes, the faces of the apostles. The building owes its existence to King Caleb, who dominated this part of Africa in the 6th century. One day, it is said, he came to Kirkos.
King Caleb,
So
who came from Lalibela,
you're getting the story there now, just to make sure you're paying attention, about King Caleb and how he furnished the church. And he came from Lalibela. At that time, it wasn't called Lalibela, though. It was Roha or Lasta.
Dominated this part of Africa in the 6th century. One day, it is said, he came to Kirkos.
King Caleb, who came from Lalibela, was guided by the doves, the bees, and the heavenly light, the three symbolizing the Trinity. The bees following him miraculously fed him with their honey at every stage of his trip. And as a sign of this covenant, they came inside here, and they are still here.
1,500 years later, above the main door, the bees are still here. In the church, the faithful among the faithful, celestial messengers.
1,500 years after, the bees are still there.
The faithful among the faithful,
Celestial messengers.
celestial messengers.
It's said that bees are like angels. People believe this. God created them in the image of angels.
Will it be ready for the harvest?
Yes, there's honey. There are alveoli everywhere.
Now, before we continue there, he's saying God created them in the image of angels. Now, very beautiful poetic language, eh? But let us take that out of that realms there. I have no problem with what he said, but let us look at it as scientists now, because some people say scientists don't have time for God, or they don't believe in God, or something of the sort. Well, I can't speak for all scientists, but it's not that, you know. At least in our realms of science, science and God is the same. That's the thing. That's the thing. Even in the Ethiopian church, brothers and sisters are very religious. You understand? So that is why taking it outside of any religious realms, let us look at it scientifically. But we don't have to look at it scientifically, because we just looked at it scientifically before we came to this video. We just went through the cycle of the sun and how it connects to the honeybees, and how the 28-day cycle and the of the sun and the 37-day cycle of the poles connects with the honeybees. Because keep in mind, the honeybees themselves have a specific way of creating their cells. It's in the hexagonal shape. That alone is geometry. And how the honeybees create the different types of bees, the drones and the queen bee, how they are created, all have to do with the cycle of the sun as well. And even the honey that they create is like liquid sunlight, the nectar of the gods. So there's something special about honeybees. But listen again, imprinted on the mask of the feathered snake of that time, Tutankhamun, is the science of the bees, where he has the sting of the queen bees. He has the rays of the bees on his mask, and still represents the drone bee with the standing phalanx, and he is the feathered snake, the cycle of the sun. And now here we see in some holy structures, buildings established by King Caleb, buildings established by the great Lalibela, bees coming and assisting these brothers as they build these temples out of rock, and these bees haven't left up to today. A miracle? Yeah, but science.
In that case, leave the ladder, the smoker, and the containers nearby, and keep an eye on it for the next 2 days.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's really wonderful that there's honey.
Yes.
After visiting the hive, it is now time for the Mass. It takes place outside the church, where a small crowd has gathered.
In the interest of time, I will skip over that, but you get some testimonies of individuals who are saying that the honey heals all their sickness and stomach ache.
It has just struck 3 p.m. according.
That might be for another class, but again, in the interest of time, let's move on. So he's going to visit the other rock church that was found by King Caleb around the same time. This is the church of George. I think this is Beta Gorgis, but it's not Beta Gorgis, Keros Gerogis of the rock church of St. George at Lalibela proper. But this is the same region. In fact, King Caleb came from Lalibela to form this church. But let us continue.
According to the sky, as Abby reaches the village of Georgis. Almost every hill is crowned with a church or chapel. That of Georgis has a tree as an antechamber, where the priest Fentau Eyayu receives Abby.
At the Kirkos parish, I was told to make a donation to the Church of Georgis. I made my vows, and this is my offering.
May God bless the bees, sanctify them. May He protect Ethiopia. May He make your journey peaceful. Go in peace.
Amen.
Abby immediately resumes his journey towards the market of Lalibela, as he is not allowed to take part in what follows.
Now I'll collect the honey. This is the time of harvest, and only a priest is permitted to do it. Only the priest has permission.
The Church of Georgis was also carved into the rock in the 6th century. Built for eternity, even if today it must be protected from the effects of time. In the back of the church reserved for monks and priests is a passage. Then a gallery dug into the hillside. And at the end of this gallery, the ceremony may begin.
I'm doing this so the bees don't get in and sting you. That's good. The steps are not very safe. Be careful.
The blessing of the hive, according to believers, will give the honey virtues similar to those of holy water.
Shall I take the cross?
The bees are doing well, but we'll wait until the pupae become adults before removing the honey.
Do we stop now?
Yes, we finished. We mustn't harm the bees.
Very well.
Bring me the bucket.
That's beautiful. Again, in the interest of time, the priest will still eventually tell the host or the interviewer that, well, these bees don't play around. If you come to this church and you have some sort of scampish or ulterior motive, these bees will run you out of the church and sting you. I've seen that with my eyes, you understand. But this honey, I don't think they even sell it. It's really for the people that come to the church, etc. So again, what you're looking at there is another example of a monument established hundreds of years ago, almost 2,000 years ago. And when the brother founded both churches, that's King Caleb in the 6th century AD, when he founded both of these churches, the bees accompanied him and established their nests, their hive, and haven't moved up to now. And the same thing with the Beta Emmanuel, although I've never seen officially that, but we have clear evidence here for ones to observe. So I'm saying that again, and again, the reason why we are bringing that up is because it is very important for us to understand how the bees are connected once more to the sun. So when you get a chance to go through this document for yourself, it will give you a good idea of how the different genders of the bees are created: the worker bee, the drone bee, the queen bee, the whole aspect of the virgin birth. This is what he is referred to it as here, parthenogenesis, or the virgin birth, wherein the literal honeybees actually does that. So basically, when you go through the article, it highlights really, see, the magnetic wave and the electrical wave and how it's directly connected to the bees and how they create even the cells, the royal jelly, the honey, and even how they deal with the pollen. The bees themselves are solar animals, without a doubt, directly connected to the sun in every way, every form. Even the honey they create look like the sun in a liquid form. But again, the link that I'm trying to show you is that the god Tutankhamun, literally in his own expression, is like he's a human being, with the sting of the queen bee behind. and he represents the cycle of the sun. He represents the solar maximum. He represents the 11-year sun cycle, and he is BC. He is 1300 years BCE. So again, that is showing you we had a great understanding of all what science is talking about today. And to me, it literally manifests in reality with the way that the bees would have dealt with King Caleb. And of course, Ethiopia has its own history. Nobody can come and mess with this. Those bees have been there for 1,500 years. Now that's real science. That's not necessarily religion. That's real science there in front of you. So what we see working here is nature's respect for the sun. Nature's observance. So that is why Mr. Maurice Cotteriel would have said, Tutankhamun worshiped the sun and the honeybees worship the sun. That's what he would mean. Even the dance that the honeybee does is in connection with the sun. The sun is very important, obviously, for the bees. So that's why the sun himself, S-U-N, S-O-N, sun, S-O-N, is connected with the bees. All right. Do you know Emperor Haile Selassie got the honor of the bee, the title of the bee? All right, very good. So as we continue, just to highlight again, in the Yucatan Peninsula, you had the king, Lord Pakal. Lord Pakal directly connected with that ancient Olmec tradition. And of course, the Olmec people as well are people of the sun, those who venerated the sun, and of course, the planet Venus. So the Olmec civilization and the temple again of Lord Pakal is a temple that has been designed where even the steps mimic the numbers of the 11-year sunspot cycle being 26, 28, and 37. Now, that may be simple. You may say, maybe not you, but individuals may say that, well, it's very simple to build a building with 37 steps going up and 28 steps going down. And how many of the other number is going across? Anyone could do that. Yeah, I understand that. But the point is that how did they know that 28 was directly connected to the sun? How did they know that 38 was the next number after 28 directly connected to the sun? Could they sit and look at the sun and see that the equator of the sun is going around once every 28 days? Can you do that today? Did they have some sort of special glasses that they put on and they realized that the equator, not the equator, but the polar magnetic field line of the sun is going around 100 once every 37 days? You know, whatever they did, they obviously knew that. They were the ones that were telling you. It may appear very crude, but they were showing you with a snake that they had on the wall with feathers that they understood the 11-year sunspot cycle. They were telling you as simple or as kindergartenish as it may appear, with 37 steps, that they understood that the equator or the polar magnetic field of the sun goes around once every 37 days. Then you go inside and you go down 28 steps. They're trying to show you, yes, we understand that the equator field line of the sun goes around once every 28 days, and there is the feathered snake buried inside there. And then take off his mask and I have something else to show you. It's obvious. This is about 600-700 years AD. I'm talking about in the Yucatan, the tomb of Lord Pakal, who was considered, this is the thing now, they were considered feathered snakes. Lord Pakal was seen as the full manifestation of the Quetzalcoatl. All right. So many of you already would have already seen the mask of Lord Pakal, the king of the Mayans. And I'm just going to quickly go through the revelations that you got from his mask when you were to take his mask and get a mirror copy of the very same mask and use the different pivot points that you see in the mask or the dots in the masks and create pivot points with these dots, specific images would appear. Simple as such. Now, obviously, you can see the mask is made from different pieces of stone or glass. It's really jade. Pieces of jade put together. Appears quite crude, but very magnificent to create this beautiful mask of Lord Packer. Again, you take a mirror copy of a transparent version of this mask. So obviously you're going to get two pictures of the mask. A mirror version, though, very important. Not a duplicate, but a mirror version. And one of them must be transparent. And when you put them together, you start to create different images that are quite aligned to the philosophy of the feathered snake, to the philosophy of the Olmec, to the philosophy of the cycle of the sun. For example, the bat. A bat appears. And what's interesting, why we highlight there's a bead in the mouth of the mask of Lord Pakal is because when you align the pivot points here with the both replicas of the mask or the images of the mask, a bat appears with the bead in its mouth. So right away, it is showing you that the bat that appears is the same person. You know, it represents the person then. So, but the bat is the animal symbol of the Olmec. You know, the bat is the Olmec's animal symbol. So this is why we can directly connect Lord Pakal with the Olmec again, as in his mask, the bat appears. Then also, one of the more outstanding features is that when you pivot the nose itself, you get the feathered snake. Even the nose bridge acts as both wings because it's two masks now. One of the masks transparent, mirror copy. And of course, all of the different broken pieces of jade creates this beautiful formation. And here you have a snake with wings. Now, the snake with wings is the feathered snake, which is the 11-year sunspot cycle. 2,000 years before this, or more, you had Tutankhamun with the feathered snake, with the snake and the bird. And of course, the bees on his mitre and the number of the rays of the sun and the cycle of the sun, I should say, and the equator magnetic field line and the sting of the queen bee. All of this expressing the cosmos of the sun. And then we have living bees now, not a philosophy or a belief, living bees now coming into the stone temples built by King Caleb, and they're still there up to today. Beautiful, eh? So again, it is clear, obviously clear, why the ancients would have revered the cycle of the sun and where the whole sun science now comes into play. Let me read something else here for you. Again, I hope everyone is fully okay. Don't worry, we're not going to make it drawn out at all. We're going to be very precise with this information here. And of course, we will be returning tomorrow to continue. Just a bit again on Mr. Cottrell's work. This is Maurice Cottrell's work. And he's speaking of here, The Many Lives of Jesus by Maurice Cottrell. So what he really is highlighting here, to use a bit of slightly different language, he's trying to show you the different characters historically that align with the Christ figure. Now, you know, everybody know Jesus. So, I mean, Jesus, you know, But the thing is that there are several historical individuals. I'm not talking of the 16 crucified saviors, because that's a bit different, because within the 16 crucified saviors, you have strong myth, strong myth, of course, which is nothing wrong with it. But within this lineup here, you have some soft myth, like the Buddha and Krishna, but more so archaeologically sound characters in many cases that are seen as living gods. I hope you understand what I'm saying there. All right, but let us just run through this list here. So you have, again, Lord Krishna, some 1700 years BCE. You have Tutankhamun, 1323 BCE. Then you have, what did I say earlier? I think I said 3000 and something, pardon me, Tutankhamun, 1323 BCE. That's the time frame of Tutankhamun. So that's why, he is about 2000 years before Lord Pakal. Because every 2000 years the Messiah comes, a cycle. Then you have the king of Hokdoth, the Celts. He's 550 BCE. This is according to Maurice Cottiel. Then you have the 30-ton, Olmec head, 200 AD. And Mr. Cottrell must remember that the Olmec calendar is dated from 3113 BCE as well, so he should keep that in mind. So that is the Olmec head, and also you have the head, the face, which is 500 BCE, the stone face. Again, you understand where that kingdom is coming from. Then you have the Buddha, 430 BC. The Buddha statue there is what you see, but that's the Buddha himself. Then the Qing Shi Huangdi, 202 BC. Then you have Jesus, 332 AD. Viracocha, 290 AD. Well, let me go, this because it's more than one Viracocha, by the way. So it's Viracocha, Pakchakamak. And you have another Viracocha. Look at here, Viracocha, Crabman. Okay, I must say I never knew it as Crabman. I just know it as Viracocha. But of course, according to the myth, that may be very important. Then Lord Pakal, 750 AD, we just spoke about that. And Pakchakuti, that is 1140 AD. All right, again, we'll be sending you this information for you to go through, but this is what I want to highlight to you now. Just take a look at this. Now, this is the secret of the sun shield of Monte Alban. And what Mr. Cottrell is highlighting now, for example, what we just showed you with the mask of Lord Pakal, this is something similar that he's highlighting, and you would have to really take the time to study this. But at a quick glance, you could definitely see what is taking place here. It's something similar. Here's the shield. And when you do the very same thing with a mirror copy, certain figures stand out. Now, this is one of the Lord Pakal statues, the statuettes that were found buried with him. And according to what Mr. Cottrell is highlighting, I am not going to go through everything, but there are specific similarities that you get in some of the key figures when the sun shield of Monte Alban is used in the same way. Some of the key main figures come to life when you utilize that shield. So you can check it for yourself. It is something of great interest. I myself would have gone through it, and take your time to read the information. All right, very good. This one is quite outstanding as well, how it honestly gives the figure of the Olmec face structure. And in the shield, this is the shield that the warriors would have carried. You understand? And when you take this beautiful shield and you mirror copy it and you get a transparent to the mirror copy and you do the same thing that we did with the mask, you're seeing the key figures appear once again. You understand what I'm saying within this whole formation. So these people of this time not only were deep scientists, but they understood, the science of illusion, if you want to say, and to transfer messages in a deeply what would be called Masonic way. Today, this is what Masons drool over. Look at the man with the water pitcher himself, also representing the time of Aquarius. Okay, very good. So I know we are getting a very good or maybe a better understanding of where the sun fits in here. So when we speak of the sun, not S-O-N necessarily at the moment, but when we speak of the S-U-N, sun in ancient science, there's a high reverence that is being emitted here. A reverence with understanding, not sun worship as Cottrell refers to it as, but reverence with understanding. And the reverence with understanding is the understanding that this same sun will become the sun, S-U-N. We comprehended that. We already explained that. That's why we brought it down to a snake with wings. And then created icons and fashioned them, and created stories and fashioned them around the bird and the snake. And then when the human being came to fulfill what we saw on the walls, all right, that's the person there, highlighting the cycle of the sun, for example, with Tutankhamun. So again, you would notice that the ancient gods and goddesses would carry the sun on the top of their head, the Aset, and then the Ra, or the Heru, because Heru and Ra is the same. Now that's the bird, the falcon, with the snake. See? The falcon, the snake, and the sun. So we already understood that thousands of years before they discovered the sunspot cycle. I think it's Al-Batani that they give credit for discovering the sunspot cycle or sunspots. That's impossible. Al-Batani is somewhere between the 6th to the 13th century, as he is one of the key, innovators in the Islamic golden age. You understand? And this has nothing, we actually revere that. And even if Al-Batani was a black man, that's not the point. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about we had a good understanding of the sunspot cycle a long time ago, or else we would not be able to portray, albeit in some kindergartenish level, of pretty pictures and colorful expression as a bird with a snake on its head. And the sun. We were clearly explaining that we understand solar maxima. Very good. Basset, not Sekhmet. This is Basset, Bast, or Basset, with the sun on her head. And of course, she has the snake. And of course, Sekhmet, with the sun on her head as well. And then, of course, you see the Christ figure being baptized by John the Baptist. And they both have the sun behind their head. Now you see the difference here, that in the more ancient time, the sun was on the head of the character. So you have the sun on Aset, the sun on the Bas, the sun on the Sekhmet, and all the Kemetic characters that would carry the sun, the sun will be on top of the head. But then as it started to branch off now into religion, less than the true science. Don't get me wrong. A lot of the ancient religion, even what we're looking at here, still would have captivated the science of it. But the science would have begun to water down as it left its root when the science was in its purest form. That's for sure. But yet still the concept continues. The Son of God. So again, when we go into the zodiac aspect of this tomorrow, we will get more into how the sun is the sun, the S-O-N is the S-U-N and all of that, but that's obvious here. That is why not just the son, but other characters like the son and the John, the disciples and all these ones, the Holy Mother and the angels, they all carry the halo behind their heads. They all carry the cycle of the sun behind their head. You have even other saints like Yared and these ones who would have received the holy word, and Saint Moses, all carrying the sun or the halo behind of their head. The Buddha, in the ancient tradition, the Buddha carrying the sun, even Krishna seen with the glow of the light, the sun behind of his head. Arua Mazda also moving with the sun. But again, these are different cultures coming down the ages, different traditions, different atmospheres. Some of them are just borrowing. Don't get me wrong. It's not like they're all the highest of scientists. Some of them are just borrowing what the ancients would have already created. You know, some of them were just following along what the ancients would have already unraveled. Then you have now Al-Qaeda. And Al-Qaeda is of the mystics of Islam. And Al-Qaeda is the green one. And his son is even green too. But you will notice that Al-Qaeda is coming with the fish. Al-Qaeda comes with the fish on his hand, or he's on the fish. And that is to show you that even in Islam, the whole concept of solar science is seen as being important, because this is symbolic of the Pisces age. This is why the Christ figure, as we know of the Christ, is the man that comes just like Al-Qaeda with the halo behind of his head, and just like Al-Qaeda, the Christ figure of the Bible comes as a fisher of man, comes, you know, in the Pisces age, which is what this really means. And we'll go deeper into that part of it tomorrow. And at the same time, Al-Qaeda being green is showing you that he's strong with the earth and the vegetation. So this is why the symbol, the early symbol of the Christians was not the cross. It was really the fish. It has to do with the age. This is astrotheology, live and direct. It has to do with the presence of the sun in that constellation, really, which still is coming out now into the other constellation, but it was dominant 2,000 years ago. It was definitely much more dominant in the Pisces constellation, the age of the fish, the age of the savior that came as the fish, according to, you understand, solar astrotheology and solar theology as well. So you see a lot of individuals vying for that fish position, you know, Jonah and the fish and Vishnu busting out of the fish there, beautiful statue or picture of Vishnu. Vishnu, boy, that's not Krishna, that's Vishnu coming out of the fish, black as star, I'm telling you. So again, this is again symbolic of even the age that we've been in for a moment, that we are coming out of, which is the Pisces age. So you also see the Pope. If you look at this properly, you see the Pope of Rome with that hat on his head. is really symbolic of the fish, the same fish that you see the priests of the ancient Dagon would have wore. So the mitre that the Pope wears is really that of the fish opening its mouth as well, just like Vishnu busting out of the fish, Vishnu, and of course the fish on the head of the Dogon. So you see, that is really what it is. Wherein the concept of the sun again, you know, has always been seen in reverence. It's somewhat come down to mockery now today. Eh? That's really what it is. It has come down to mockery, you know, and people wearing fish on their head and all sorts of things. It has come down to mockery. And but the ancient solar science was that, a science. It was mathematics. It was clear understanding. It was connection with the animal kingdom, even how the bees react. That's why we took time to highlight that, to show you that even in the animal kingdom, there is strong reverence for the sun. That is why even in the animal kingdom, you can find specific animals keeping Sabbath, because you still have an understanding, a connection with nature, with the truth. That's what it is. It's really oneness. But then those who rob and steal and try to falsify would create any old thing and do their best to manipulate that which is the origin of what you're seeing here, even on the screen. How did he get in there? Well, I will tell you, because again, this whole concept of resurrection comes back to the sun. And again, this is how ancient astrotheology is taken and become a mockery now in religion. Because even in religion now, you hear people trying to say, we need to put Jesus back into Christmas. You don't have to worry about that. Jesus is into Christmas. Jesus is Santa Claus. It's the same thing. You know, some people think that you're doing Easter some discredit by pushing up Easter bunny and eggs. Or we need to get back to the real meaning of Easter, which is what? That Christ died and bust the tomb and came out. That's what the Easter bunny is all about. You understand? As we were showing you early, the cycle of the sun has to do with fertility. Easter, Eastern Star. You know, they have a Masonic female group called the Eastern Star. The East Star is Easter. All of these holidays are some real paganism, ritualistic behaviors. The Easter, that's sun worship for you. It's a whole fertility cult that is being kept up, you understand? So that is why the bunny is being used. Everyone knows that the bunny and the fish, if you're a fisherman, when you get your fish and you open your fish, you'll notice many times the fish is filled with eggs, because the fish is very symbolic of fertility. The rabbit is very symbolic of fertility. That's why the rabbit has the egg, you know. We may laugh and say, oh, a rabbit can't lay egg, and make a joke about it. But those who would have crafted this science, because this is astrotheology that I'm speaking of here. This is more astro-religion now. Those who would have crafted this culture and behavior through religious outlooks understood that the bunny rabbit is a fertile animal, and they understood that the egg is the symbol of fertility. So they put the bunny with the egg in their cartoon animated comic world, but there's a science behind of it. A solar science too, because it's dealing with the sun. It's dealing with the resurrection of the sun, the East Star. The sun is the star that comes in the east, the Eastern Star. Nothing wrong with observing the whole cycle of the sun, you know. But obviously, again, this is where organized religion now would have taken theology to confuse the masses. And the fish as the mitre on his head. So even the egg now, the literal egg that the bunny has, they actually fry the egg in a form that they call sunny side up. Even the egg turns to the sun. So that is to show you the fertility concept is something that is being utilized even on the brain of those who are being enslaved. I know I'm preaching a bit here, but I mean, the truth is just the truth, whether it's a course class or church, but the truth just got to come out. So again, we see different aspects of theology being, expressed. The Southern Cross really highlights the whole concept of the crucified Messiah, something I know we will touch a bit more on next day. And even this, the Christ figure coming out of the age of the age of Aries the Ram. This is the best figure, the best figure. This is the figure known as Best from the heart of the Congo with the ram on his back. That's an ancient statue, obviously. That's the first god, the god Best, with his tongue sticking out. Yeah, that's the first god. That's what he's known as. Ptah is said to be one of them pygmy characters there as such. Not pygmy, but yeah, Best from the depths of the Congo. So when you see them fellas here, because what is symbolic of is really the age of Aries and the age of the Ram. And this is a good example to show you how everything would have been watered down from its anciency. I even highlighted that the sun was actually on top of the head of all of the ancient figures in the ancient time before it started to go behind the head of the other God figure. So what we would have done, especially for those who may have been just coming in or came in a bit later, came in a bit behind the time, we really started by showing you the real concept of astrotheology is really as above, so below. That's really what it is in a deeper form. And again, without going over a lot of what I believe most of those who would have signed on to this course knows already, we definitely decided to take it from another angle by showing with emphasis why the sun is so important and has been so important on a scientific level for a very, very, very long time, you see. So now, when we even take you through the zodiac belt and how the sun's movement through the ecliptic belt, is very important, and the message that it gives, it would even give a bit more appreciation towards the importance of why the SUN is the SON. And again, as I said, as the good brother was telling us, he was explaining that any African dance that is African in its origin is definitely connected to the cosmos, without a doubt. So when we say that the Dogon's dance is connected to the Sirius binary star system, yeah, that's good, but it's not just the Dogons alone. It's all the ancient African cultures that are connected to the movements of the heavens. So with great understanding, again, royal family, we would have also looked at the video highlighted the bees that are in the Church of Ethiopia up to a day like today. And also, we would have also realized that they are connected to the cycle of the sun as well, as expressed in the Mass of Tutankhamun. So officially, that would bring to an end the first class. Let me see something here. Yes, that would bring to an end officially. We have a lot more to talk about, but that would have brought to an end officially the first class in this 2-day Earth Day celebration course. Remember, this is the rudiments of ancient astronomy. As I said at the beginning, it's not a crash course like we're trying to force some heap of thing into one thing. And it still appears as if we still putting a lot of information into a short time. Yes, that is true, but we're keeping it focused on a specific area, specific subject. Again, I know a lot of ones coming into this have a basic understanding of the heavens declaring, the glory. Of course, we have the book entitled The Heavens Declare the Glory. Again, where we give another level of the rudiments of astrotheology, a level that we didn't go into here tonight as such. But as I said, this level was needed, especially for those who are sitting in to get a next level, a next aspect of this in our astro-theological course. So give thanks, all praises, all honor, and all might, Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. We give thanks, and of course, I'm going to open the floor and give her freedom. I know I would have muted someone, so I'm just going to ask them to unmute. The reason why I'm asking you, if you don't want to unmute, you don't have to. It's just because I don't think you can unmute unless I ask you, since I was the one that muted you and locked off your camera. So that was just in the interest of the presentation. So you may see it come up now that I'm asking you to put on your camera, asking you to unmute. That's not necessarily what I'm asking. I'm putting you in a position that you can unmute if you want to, and that you can put on your camera if you want to. And I think that's clear. But the floor is free for anyone that has any question concerning anything we would have touched upon this evening, or anything as it relates to the subject area. Feel free to unmute and put on camera, whatever the case is, and I am here for you. Rastafari. Be shy now.
Greetings.
Bless the Lord. Greetings.
Blessed Lord, give thanks for life, health, and strength. Give thanks for this beautiful time within creation of such knowledge, emanating. Give thanks for the sun, giving us such, energy and vibration and vibrant, creational knowledge, Give thanks for the eye being that interpreter of the heavens to continue the teachings so that I and I can be able to see I and I self even more as a people. Give thanks for the royal family. Give thanks for the Honorable Empress as well for, being a strength to the eye because it's a perfect balance. Give thanks to the royal prince and princess as well for standing mightyfully as Daniel and Danieless, within this liberty, sons and daughters of the Most High. First and foremost as well, give thanks for the mighty life givers, Haile Selassie first and Empress Menen Aspa. Give thanks for King Emmanuel Charles Edwards, the humble servant that teach I and I to look within I and I self to see God, And as he mentioned, even a very watery drink is God. Of course, we're just using that terminology, but like you say, it's at elementary level, but, give thanks for the Amlak, the all in all, still teaching us, such ways. Because, we have to seek within to seek and understand what's without, the micro and the macrocosm is one. Give thanks for the universal teachings. Give thanks for, the balance within creation. I do glorify the mighty life givers. Give thanks for the forerunner as well. The Anubis. Give thanks for Marcus Messiah Garvey, who opened the eyes of ones and ones even during the dark ages. that I and I could see I and I self, and turn to the true and living, the royal trinity of the Father, Mother, and Son, as well as the prophet, priest, and king. I give thanks for Marcus Garvey, coming forward and just, seeing, showing Black man and Black woman, the melanated man and woman, the true, representatives, of the intelligence within creation itself, just manifesting itself naturally. As Emmanuel always teaches us, it's just a natural. I just glorify such a time, and I really do give thanks for such knowledge, and understanding, even of the feathered snake and everything, the I just, come forward and bring the teachings in such a way that, as you say, and as Emmanuel did say, even for a baby to understand. It's just for us to continue the legacy and continue the teaching so that our children can, continue within such great works and, just be themselves, because there's nothing else outside of themselves, really and truly, and just connecting to the universe, connecting to creation and nature, because they're all in all. I just wanted to say give thanks, and bless it all strong, because, the most I have blessed creation with, birthing the eye forward from your mother's womb to your father's lineage. And I glorify the eye strength, because the eye have also helped, me being a member of the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress Women's Freedom Liberation League, just to understand the liberty more, what I'm saying, and make sense of it more that, it just, you can't, it just the champion, you can't get around it. You can't get around what is real. These teachings that you're bringing forward for us is just for us to see and know that this is nothing new, but just, glorifying in Emmanuel, which is interpreted God with us still, and just be able to prove, because, they like to say, prove, how can you prove? So give thanks for the knowledge and the teaching so that we can, although we know in ourselves, I know in ourselves how it is when it comes to ones who want to contend and, which I don't waste any time on cast pearls onto swines, but those who do need to see and who have ears to hear and eyes to see, we can show them so that they can also connect, so that the will can be done on earth as it is in Holy Mount Zion, because it's inevitable, So I just glorify the I and glorify the honorable family once again for continuing in such great works. And, it is something for me that is just honorable because, being brought in within Rastafari from a young age and then coming forward to Emmanuel Liberty, it just shows how much the Liberty have grown. And, a lot of ones may seem to be stuck in a certain realm, but once the light is being shined, there's no more I didn't know that ones could say, or, um, feel ignorant, so to speak, because it's too much knowledge and light in the earth right now to not know, I mean, not everyone who have ears go hear, but the reality is you have to have some type of spark that should have show some interest within yourself to connect to the true and living. If you truly, wholeheartedly aids to know of yourself and know of the creator, the divine that dwells within all things, universally. So I just glorify the strength, glorify the light, you know, and the dark, because out of darkness came our light, So I glorify it all, with the great understanding, with the mature mind that I do have, nothing is coincidental, nothing happens unless it's supposed to happen, because it helps to bring us to, the full awareness of ourselves and of creation and our duty and our role within the creation itself, you know. But I glorify once again, and I do pray that the eye continue with such great work so that, that it could reverberate throughout not only this generation, but generations to come, just as we see the ancient ones from, the time of Lalibela, even, it's just something that can't change. They're going to continue to reverberate just like sound wave never stop traveling. I give thanks even for how I explain the movement of the sun in itself. You know, that's very powerful how the eye taught it, you know, because I have studied many a times, you know, the moon and the moon cycle, but I've never understand the fullness of the sun also carrying the same 28-day cycle, even with the ecliptic aspect of it, you know, the equator of the sun. I never really knew that they had that 28-day cycle. So I give thanks for sharing that knowledge. You know, and I also was aware fully of the movement of the sun when it comes to the north and south, east and west, you know, and it making this cross cycle and, you know, understanding the sun's back cycle and everything, but having it breaking down into the numerological aspect, you know, it helps to understand the movement more and, you know, just the language in itself, because as we know, the first language is numbers. So, you know, to be able to bring it forward into such minute calculus is a blessing, you know. So once again, glorify the mighty life givers, glorify the mother of creation, Empress Menen, that one cloud with the sun with the moon at her feet, you know, during certain times. Give thanks for our honorable Empress Menen, you know, our sacred mother, the one that is, you know, joined with the King of Kings, you know, and the one that has brought forward, you know, the humble servant as well, you know, and brought forward our life, you know. Give thanks for the feathered snake. I don't know if the eye, you know, it's just a question, but, you know, I don't know if the eye have ever studied about the Amengazi. These are some ancient mamas that have been in the ancient villages of Africa, the indigenous villages that have, you know, make sure they preserve the liberty. And one of the things that they would also do is they would have these pythons. They, you know, they would have these pythons that they would wear over their shoulders, again, showing that they overstand the sunspot cycle, they overstand the feathered snake. I could see where they overstand the mystics of, you know, that Christ being, you know, manifesting his and herself within creation, you know, and just the term in itself, amen, even in certain prayers in the Bible, as we say, you know, a lot of ones throw away the Bible and try to look at the Bible negative because they have lack of knowledge and understanding. But even the term amen, besides, you know, amenhotep, came from these Amen Ghazi women, you know, and there's no competition between women and men, but from what I've learned too, you know, as a symbology, why even the priests wear robes, is that the first prophecies were revealed to women, you know, woman, so to speak, woman of right. Let me practice speaking properly. Were given to woman of right, you know, and just as they say, the Christ, you know, heal the sick and give sight to the blind. These are things that these, you know, mothers, these mummies naturally practice even from in the ancient times and up to this time. You know, the first teachers, they were the ones who actually revealed the first set of prophecies within creation to the T, you know, and their points were never off, you know. So I give thanks for such ancient mamas, the mummies, you know, the Kandakis, you know, these ancient ones from such times, you know, just glorify the mother of creation, glorify the woman of right still, you know. But, you know, if you have any time and you could study them too, and, you know, probably give us a little follow-up as to what the eye research, because the eye do have a whole different perspective sometimes, you know, that would open up one's and one's meditation towards the whole aspect that is being taught at the time or that has been preserved. You know, if you have time, if you could, you know, give a little follow-up on it, I really appreciate of it. But, you know, they also call them Sibyls time before. Um, I don't know if I was able to cite the documentary that I had sent to the Empress through the WhatsApp, my presentation that I did during Empress Men in Art Strong with the Blue Fire Leadership I Treat. One of the topics that I did mention was that specific, the topic was the Sibyls, you know, the Rastafari woman and the original prophecy. That was my topic. But we did delve into, you know, some of the Amangazi. I did delve into, you know, the mysteries, even of Empress Men and some of the mysteries of our mother. You know, as the world teaches us to come from one, you know, just even the mystics of the zero, the first, you know, the all in all, where all things came from, the black hole, the mama, you know. It was important to just share some things that, you know, was in that presentation that I think I could build on, as a family and just continue to share. I pray I'm gonna take up too much time in reasoning, but just give thanks. I'd just be so happy to be able to share in such knowledge and listen to the eye. The eye could never be too lengthy. I don't know how some ones that say the eye to be lengthy and gotta keep it short, but give thanks still for the teachings and all strength. Blessed love to the royal house. I know I speak that was many words, a mouthful, but I can just open the floor once again to other ones to speak, but glorify mighty life giver again. Empress Menenai, Selassie Ija, Rastafari, King Emmanuel VII, Adonia Igaja, Rastafari, Marcus I, Selassie Ija, Rastafari. Blessed love.
Yes, Honorable Empress. Yeah, man. For me alone, I give thanks for the words. I give thanks for the great inspiration and give thanks for the powerful message. And I thanks for the blessings for the earth strong and the full appreciate love to the fullness of the family as well. And if anyone else have anything to say, feel free as well, But I know for sure that, yes, as I said, even the ancient mamas, remember they were highlighting the warrior queens even in the movie The Black Panther and them things. But from my knowledge, those kingdoms there, like the Benin kingdom, Benin as we know Benin today, and even the kingdom of Benin in Nigeria, they have a Benin kingdom in Nigeria too, plus Benin today, but obviously similar people. That's why the names travel. That is the same kingdom of Dahomey. A lot of the people in IT would have come from that region, the Benin as we know it today, the kingdom of Dahomey. And then that's where you have the women that they call them now. What's the other term they refer to them as? The Amazon queen, the Amazon fighters. But that kingdom was known as the kingdom of the snakes, the kingdom of the great snakes. That's the kingdom Benin, the kingdom of Dahomey, the kingdom of the great snakes. So as the sister is saying, yes, it's reality. The fire mothers, the African warriors were always connected with the understanding of the snake, the understanding of that sunspot cycle, really. That's why they were warriors, queens. And of course, the snake thing can go as far back as the niggas, the nigger people, where niggas is a term we use a lot. Of course, you see it in different levels of language. And the Negas, from the King of Kings, Negus and Negas, the Negas people in India, the Negas, they actually have a set of people named the Negas. People argue that the term nigger is in the Bible. Niger, Nigeria, Niger, Niger, nigger, negro. So, but Negas is really the people of the snake. The people of the snake are the Negas people. So you see a lot of the Buddha statues and all the snakes behind of them as well. Yeah. But give thanks, for the words of the Empress as well. A lot of work to be done, internationally for sure. I wouldn't even start to get into that here. But I could feel the passion and a lot of work to be done, that's for sure. And those of us who know what to do, and as I always say, I'm looking at a mirror when I speak. Those of us who know what to do need to do what we know we have to do. Yeah, we can't think, well, we do plenty already and all of that kind of stuff. We just got to do what we got to do because a lot more to be done, that's for sure. But anyway, don't want to go too far into that talk there. I'll leave the floor open for anyone else who want to say anything, comment, question. Not a problem at all. Feel free.
Yeah, blessed love.
Problem.
Yeah, blessed love. Give thanks for the mighty works and presentation. I was very, very, I think the course took for me a very Africanistic approach. And so it's very nice to see the different nuances of this ancient world of astronomy, and even how it really is embedded in the cultural dances and practices. You know, it really makes so much, sense. So I think for me, I want to learn more about astronomy. I want to get more information and learn more, because I know for me, I won't ever achieve the status of an astronomer in this lifetime. But I do see the reality of it. I see it, and just looking at the photo you have here, looks like the obelisk in the back. Yeah, the Tekken. But with this being said, it's so much gratitude, that Africa has given to us. So I really like to continue with this kind of information for me. Yes, blessed love.
Thanks. Thanks. Since your words were so short, you know, well, I'm not going to agree when you said you'll never be an astronomer in this time. Yeah, man, you're definitely on your way. Give thanks. That's my honorable Empress, Empress Naya, and as the previous Empress said, a pillar of strength to I endowed. Pray that I'm a pillar of strength to her as well. Give thanks, honorable.
Yes, give the support. Yes.
A few of the ones are here, but feel free. And also, even as we're going through the Kwanzaa time, that term, that was your Amen, even the term Imani is also seen as Amen too, as Amen is directly connected, Imani or Imani in the African sense is another variation of the same Amen. So it's a very deep thing. You actually see it translated, the Amen, you see translated as Imani in some writings. And of course, Imani is more, African as we know it, culturally West African. So just happened on an earlier point too. So it's open for anyone, feel free.
Give thanks.
We still will be coming in tomorrow. I know a few others should have been here, but they may be with us tomorrow. As I said, hopefully, if possible, that this video can be given out to all who are here. Those who missed the bus tonight, they will get a copy of this. I would hope that I could do this right now for you tonight, so you could at least view this again before tomorrow evening as maybe a recap, and then we go straight into the presentation tomorrow. So once all is well, we could save anything else for tomorrow evening, as I will be celebrating more life. So with your permission, again, once all is well, I will just bid everyone a blessed evening and give thanks again for your presence. Until next evening, blessed love. And bless you saying any last words, or that is good for us?
I'll give thanks. Look again. Nothing else.
Sorry. Pardon me. Sorry about that. Sorry. Okay, that's it. All right. Well, blessed love, everyone. Give thanks. Holy Emmanuel, I, Selassie, I, Jah, Rastafari.
All right, blessed love.